Welcome to the Thermos Hotel. So today we're out and about. I've got my son and his girlfriend here. So we've taken them to a nearby, what is actually an old abandoned hotel. It's called Hotel Thermos. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was operational till about the 50s, and it used to administer radium therapy, basically. So people would come here to drink the waters when they thought radioactivity was good for you. And clearly it turned out that it wasn't. So the hotel's been abandoned for a long time, and it's a little bit of a tourist attraction, although we're the only people here today. So we're going to have a little look around. There aren't many photos of the hotel when it was actually open. I did find this. It looks to have been taken around about the 20s or 30s and shows the hotel when it was all one complete building. As we tour the hotel, I'm going to put a map up on the screen occasionally, and the little arrow will indicate exactly where we are. So right now, as I did that first introduction, we are stood by the reception. As we start to walk towards the hotel, just off to our right is the main, I'm guessing, games area. This is probably where they would have things like tennis or croquet, or just a general area that you could stretch your legs in. Looks very much walled in and is actually very flat despite what the video looks like. And then further round to our left of the hotel is the changing rooms for a natural lake that you could swim in. So just above the actual walking and tennis court area is this little patio area with a fountain and everything, and some little areas to sit, and some really nice Art Deco style tiles. I said at the very start of the video that this was the Radium Hotel. It's not actually its real name. It was Hotel Serra da Pena, and its history is a little bit patchy. I've sort of done a bit of research and found out what I could, but in a sense it opened in 1922. The reason it's this part of Portugal is the area has a bit of a history of uranium mining, and one of the byproducts of uranium was radium. So the hotel itself is probably a bit of a misleading name calling it a hotel. It was more of a health spa back in the day, or sanitarium, I guess they would have called it back there. And you could go and have treatments, various treatments involving radium waters. So I'll come on to those a little bit later on. But you can see here just how magnificent it must have been at its time. Those huge granite blocks that build these magnificent buildings. So we're going to go inside one of the buildings here. Believe it or not, there's actually still a fair amount of stuff kicking around in here. Yes, it's vandalised. Yes, it's been left to rack and ruin over the years. But you can see it's still relatively intact inside. Even wooden door frames, wooden doors. And here you can actually see what I mentioned earlier was the natural swimming lake. Just below us is the changing rooms, and you could swim in this nice sort of ornamental lake. Obviously try now, but in its time it must be something pretty special. Now I mentioned earlier some of the reasons why the Radium Hotel, or the Serra da Pena, actually exists. Radium in its time, back in the 20s and 30s, was put in all sorts of things, from cosmetics, bath salts, paint, and even some foodstuffs. The structure in front of us here, we're not exactly sure what this is, but possibly it was another bathhouse with a swimming area outside. and then you'll notice that there's a new or newer looking wall just here on the left with some rebar sticking out. Now there was an attempt in the year 2000 with an entrepreneur who was going to rebuild the hotel, but the plans never really came to anything. There was only a little bit of work done, and yeah, nothing really ever came of it, I'm afraid. So we're now about to enter the hotel proper. This is almost at the highest point of the land, and you get a really good idea of the view here. And basically this side of the hotel is massively collapsed. I mean, it's all fallen in itself. But that was the main accommodation area, and we're about to enter the kitchen area. At the top of the hotel here, at the highest point, this looks like it was once a kitchen. We've got a very big chimney going up there, or again, it could have been a laundry. We've got sinks either end as well. A lot of graffiti, but that's to be expected, I guess.
But also, there are some nice little bits of artwork.
So we think this was the old dining room area. Lovely big fireplace at the end, obviously no roof anymore, but there's still some really, really nice features. By the way, this has been carved out of the stone here. So there is still a lot to find here, but beautifully done. And yeah, just such a shame. Even the tiles on the floor, you can see it had a little bit of grandeur to it in its time. So this is a picture, I'm guessing, of a lounge area, and if you notice, the fireplace in this picture is very, very similar to the one that we saw in the restaurant shot earlier. Very Art Deco, very on trend at the time, and yeah, was a very pleasant place to stay, I'm sure. Now I'm guessing here was where the main bedrooms used to be. It said it could house 150 guests in 90 bedrooms, but they would have been pretty small bedrooms, I'm guessing. But it's very difficult to tell exactly how much of the hotel still exists. You know, I don't think there was any further floors than what you see here, but there might well been another structure off to the right somewhere. And this area here was the sanitarium, or where the treatments used to take place. So we know that from some of the old photos we've seen of the hotel. And they had treatment beds along the side here. The rejuvenating, healing water would come in through the sides over here. And I think there was pipes works and steam and bits and pieces. But basically this is where the radioactive water would come in. I assume from that there hole in there.
I think that was a loo with a view.
Yeah. I think these were maybe more treatment rooms, there's baths in here. Well, you could bathe in the radioactive water. I think as well they use some of these rooms for storage when they try to, or there was plans to rebuild the hotel. They obviously kept some of the cut granite and sandstone features, and they stored them in these rooms. But nature's taken over since. There's a little seat there. A lot of the hillsides collapsed down in here as well.
Yeah, you can see where there were little stairways and it's just all fallen in.
I mentioned earlier on that you can get various treatments here, and you just saw the baths, and I think that was actually for a radium mud bath by having done a bit of my research. Now you're probably asking what caused the demise of the hotel. Well, quite simply, in the late 30s, suspicion started to get a little bit aroused that possibly taking radioactivity as a medicine wasn't actually a very good thing. So the decline of the hotel really started from there. They stopped advertising the radium treatments, as it were. And then obviously towards the end of the Second World War, with what happened in Japan, then yeah, that pretty much summed up what could happen with radioactivity. So the hotel closed in 1945. In 1945, I said the hotel closed, but it did actually briefly reopen in 1951. But sadly, the new owners couldn't make it pay, and it finally closed its doors in 1954. The story has it that the manager knew that the hotel company was going to go bust and wasn't going to be paid, so he took his chances. He stripped the hotel of all of its metals, all the electrical wires, all the pipes, etc., loaded them up in the car or a truck, and then drove them to Lisbon and sold them. One final little footnote to history, as I said earlier, in the year 2000, the property was actually sold at auction in Lisbon, and it fell into new ownership, and there were plans to build a golf course, chalets, a whole leisure sort of complex here, and a little bit of work did start, and they just really made the structure as safe as they could. But that's as far as it got, so after just a year or so's work, it never really went any further. I hope you enjoyed this tour. It's a little bit different to what we normally do. I will put a link in the description below on Google Maps of how to find the entrance. You will need a 4x4 if you want to get up as far as the reception area. Otherwise you'll have to walk from the very bottom, and you will need to bring some water forward with you if it's a hot day. But as it's such a unique piece of history, please just come and have a look. Don't touch. Leave it as is and leave it for other people to enjoy. See you next time.